It started with a theft. Not a grand heist, not some elaborate scheme, just a small, clever crime that made us laugh. A sponge, a cleaning brush, even a padlock had vanished from where we left them. And there, perched with an unmistakable sense of triumph, was Loki, a raven with more personality than we ever expected. He didn't just take things, he demanded we buy them back from him, turning our own household items into a mischievous little ransom. It was impossible not to laugh at his antics. But beneath the playfulness, behind those intelligent black eyes, was a story of pain, of survival, and ultimately, of redemption. When we first met Loki, he was nothing like the cheeky, charismatic bird he is today. He was violent, terrified of people, unpredictable in ways that made even experienced handlers wary. It was clear that something had gone terribly wrong in his past. He had been purchased by someone who had no idea how to care for a raven, how much patience, understanding, and trust it required. A mistake that would cost Loki his faith in humanity. Loki was captive bred, raised by people from the start, meaning he could never be released into the wild. He lacked the skills to survive on his own, which made what happened next even more tragic. When his first owner realized they couldn't handle him, they did the only thing they thought they could. They gave him back. Abandoned, confused, and likely hurt by the experience, Loki was shuffled around until finally, we got the call. We had worked with birds before. We knew about their intelligence, their need for enrichment, their complex emotions. But nothing could have prepared us for Loki. He didn't just distrust humans, he hated them. Any approach was met with aggression, a warning that he would not hesitate to defend himself. And who could blame him? Everything in his short life had taught him that people were something to fear, but I wasn't willing to give up on him. Every day, I sat in his aviary. No sudden movements, no attempts to force trust, just quiet companionship. I brought food, placing it near me, letting him decide if he wanted to come closer. For days, he kept his distance. He watched, wary and calculating. And then, little by little, he started to shift. One day, instead of keeping to the farthest corner, he landed a little closer. The next, he took a piece of fruit I had set beside me. It was mango, his favorite. It wasn't a grand breakthrough, just a small, subtle shift in his behavior. But I knew in that moment that he was starting to see me as something other than a threat. The real turning point came unexpectedly. Loki had developed a habit of stealing, and one afternoon he snatched something from my pocket before I could react. I stood up to leave, deliberately ignoring him. And then, something amazing happened. He lowered his head, a gesture I had never seen from him before. It was an apology, his way of saying, "Wait, don't go." It was the first time he had ever asked for interaction instead of avoiding it. My heart pounded as I slowly reached out. Every instinct told me to pull back. I was certain he would bite, but he didn't. He let me stroke his feathers. It was brief, just a second or two, but it was everything. It meant trust. It meant forgiveness. From that day on, everything changed. Loki became part of our world in a way I never expected. He started mimicking us, calling out in his deep, guttural voice whenever he wanted attention. And he demanded attention. If we weren't giving him enough, he made it very clear. Squawking, stomping around, throwing objects with precision only a raven could manage. He had gone from fearful and aggressive to playful and mischievous. And then there was the flying. Loki wasn't just a bird in an aviary. He was a free-flying raven. Every day he would take off, soaring into the open sky, circling high above before coming back down when he was ready. He had the best of both worlds. Freedom, but also safety. He always returned. Watching him now, it's hard to believe he was ever the same bird who once cowered at the sight of a human. The transformation was extraordinary. It showed me something I'll never forget. Animals can heal. No matter how broken, no matter how betrayed they've been, they can learn to trust again. They just need patience. They need kindness. They need a second chance. There are so many animals like Loki, ones who have been cast aside, misunderstood, left without a place in the world. They don't just need rescuing. They need understanding. They need people who won't give up on them. Loki's story is proof of what's possible when we choose to care. If you believe in giving animals like Loki a second chance, consider supporting rescue and rehabilitation efforts. Even small actions, sharing their stories, donating to wildlife sanctuaries, or simply spreading awareness, can make a difference. Because every animal deserves the chance to thrive. And Loki? He's living proof that with patience, love, and a little bit of stolen mischief, anything is possible.